Hey, good morning. I'm Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. This week, Uber and Lyft drivers say there's too much competition on the road. Washington and British Columbia are now in different time zones, and the King County Library is throwing it back to the 90s by letting adults read for free pizza. Drag queen and entrepreneur Chase Burns and Stranger News editor Vivian McCall are here to break down the week. But first, let's get you caught up. Another major traffic disruption is planned for the east side this weekend. This time, both directions of I-405 will completely close near the 522 interchange in Bothell. That begins at 6 p.m. Saturday and will last through early Monday morning. There will be detours, but state officials warn drivers could face 2 to 3 mile backups during the closure. They say best case scenario is a 1-hour delay in both directions, so plan accordingly for peak travel times. Organizers are marking International Women's Day with the Seattle Women's March on Sunday. Participants are gathering at Capitol Hill's Cal Anderson Park at 11. This year's message focuses on women's health and reproductive rights and standing with immigrant women. The Capitol Hill blog reports up to 10,000 people are expected to gather. The specific route for the march hasn't been published. Also beginning on Sunday, more daylight coming your way for the next 8 months. At 2 a.m., we spring forward 1 hour and enter daylight saving time. That means beginning on Sunday, the sun will set at 7:04. Bad news for early birds, but great news for enemies of the big dark. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now. It's Friday again. I am loving this rainy weather. Chase Burns is here. He's a drag queen and entrepreneur. Chase, good to see you.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday.
Yeah. Vivian McCall is here. She's the news editor at The Stranger. Vivian, glad to see you.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, you two, before we dive in, a new program from the King County Library System kicked off this week. They're heading back to a simpler time when you could read in exchange for pizza. This is for adults only, so bring your Gen X Millennial card to show at the door. Did either of you ever read for a free personal pizza as a kid?
I read a lot as a kid, but I was never rewarded for it.
You didn't need pizza?
No.
This unlocked a memory where I did, but I was really young. And I remember it being at Pizza Hut, and I remember getting I remember liking the experience. I was more worked up as a child about this coloring contest at Publix. I remember a distinct memory where I really wanted to win that.
Yeah.
But not so much pizza.
How do you win?
I don't know. You had the best coloring.
What does that mean?
Oh, I didn't win, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, they would run summer programs for reading, but we never got pizza. I can't even remember what we got. We got a form, and you had to put in all the books that you read over the summer, and somebody won. I never won, but...
How do they check that?
See, that's what I'm wondering.
That just seems like a real opportunity for liars.
Yeah. All right. You can earn stamps on your card in this program by doing any number of throwback activities, checking out a book from a curated 90s collection, renting a DVD, reading a newspaper online, checking out a CD. That's old school. What kinds of memories does this bring up for you? And what other kinds of things might incentivize you to participate?
I looked on there and they have like a whole pizza kit. Like there's a grand prize that you could win where you have, it's like $100 pizza kit situation.
Oh my gosh.
I was motivated by that.
Yeah.
And I went online and looked, and I was reminded that the library system has Canopy, which is a great service that allows you to stream a bunch of movies, some of them very cool. And also it has a bunch of magazines and international magazines that you can read. So you can do a bunch.
There's lots to do at the library.
What about you become the franchise owner of a Pizza Hut?
Oh, that's the big grand prize.
That's what I think that would incentivize people.
I think so.
Especially now. To become a business owner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're starting small. If you complete the stamp card, you get a free slice of pizza from Pagliacci. You get a coupon to go get it. That feels a little bit like a downgrade from a personal pizza in the 90s to just a slice.
How big is the slice?
Yeah. Well, Pagliacci is about,
We're all using our hands.
Yeah, this is a perfect medium to illustrate this.
A survey from peer-reviewed journal iScience found last year that reading for pleasure among adults is actually down 40%. I wonder if tapping into nostalgia is the way to get people reading again.
I think that's powerful, and it's also a very social thing. I think if you're doing something, it's so much more fun to do it with other people. Like, I could see this incentivizing people to do it with their friends or their partner or their enemies, even, for some competition.
I think that we read more than we say we do. We're just reading our phones. Like, if you're scrolling on X all day long, you're reading. And so then you're just tired when you're done doing that. So why do you want to pick up a book? It's more reading.
All
so
right,
you should read less on your phone.
Moving on to the big story of the week. If you need a Lyft around the city, you may have too many options. That's according to the Drivers Union of Washington, which represents Uber and Lyft drivers who say there are too many rideshare drivers on the road in Washington. They want these apps to stop allowing new drivers until the current ones are able to be more productive. Seattle Times says about 55% of rideshare miles driven are done without a passenger. How often are you actually hailing rideshares around the city, and how long did you wait for your last ride?
I think you wait here about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I remember when Uber and Lyft were a newer thing, and it would be like you would call it and you would have 10 to 12 minutes to sort of get your act together. Mm-hmm. And now you don't have time to leave your apartment before they're there. No,
I do remember. They're very quick here. They're less quick everywhere else I've ever been.
Yeah. And I used to be a rideshare driver for like a year. It was like my primary income. And it was really hard. It's like the hardest job I've ever had. And when you are being out-competed, it can be really difficult because a ride can take you way far out. And then you have to drive all the way back for no money. So you end up losing a ton in gas and in time and opportunity cost. If the market is so swamped, I can imagine these drivers have it so much harder.
Wow. Well, you're making me think about the ride I took last week. I needed to get from my place to the light rail, and I didn't have time to bust a move to do it. And it was like $8, and you're right. Like, I was timing it so that I was absolutely had my bag on my shoulder, ready to go before I hit. Because you have 1 minute to get downstairs, and they're there. But,
and then you go to another city or country and you're all ready to go, and then you realize it's a 30-minute wait, and then you're thrown off. I've forgotten. Yeah, actually in Seattle it's very quick.
Yeah. Is this a supply and demand problem that benefits the company or the customer?
Well, it's not benefiting the customer very much on price, certainly, and I don't think it essentially matters to the company, because if they're able to supply more rides, it doesn't matter if their drivers are making less money individually. So it certainly is a benefit to them. I think it's very clear who's losing.
The drivers.
Thank you. Thank you for filling in the blank, Chase. Well, the rideshare union told the Times the company's bottom line doesn't suffer here. Rideshare driving, though, is a gig that has a pretty low barrier to entry, And I wonder, is this kind of environment just part of the hustle, or is it a disincentive to get involved in rideshare driving?
I think that this certainly isn't the booming time of entering the market as a driver. I think that we could, I say we as if I'm a driver. I don't even drive a car myself, but I think that we theoretically could, as drivers, consider alternative things. Let's go back to group chat drivers, find 60 of your friends and just become a driver for them. You can probably make more money and get more clients. Yeah. Maybe think of some alternate ways to get paid.
Uber Pool. It didn't cause the pandemic. The pandemic did end it, though. And I miss it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really interesting social interactions that I'll never have again.
It's like the mini
bus. Flirty.
It was flirty.
It was very flirty.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, not all the time.
All right, wait a minute.
All the time.
Sometimes it was weird,
Yeah,
right.
Sometimes it was objectively a bad time. But a bad time is good. It adds texture to life.
Yeah, there are always stories from Uber Pool. We need more. Put people back in.
Yeah.
Put people in the cars.
Yeah, there's less narrative in my life.
One advantage, according to the Drivers Union, is the ability to serve huge crowds. They say the Super Bowl parade was a huge success. The World Cup and tourism-heavy summer is going to be helpful for drivers in the city. Vivian, you are already a rideshare driver. What made you stop, and would you go back to it again?
No, absolutely not. It is the hardest job I've ever had. It was also the worst job that I've ever had, and I've never been more exploited in my life.
Really?
And this idea that years ago, the way that they marketed this company was there's a way you can make money on your own time. You're your own boss. This can add to your income, but we know that so many people are going out and to make a reasonable amount of money to support themselves or their families are having to drive probably a really unsafe number of hours. which doesn't benefit anyone. I would never go back to doing this because it's only become that much worse of a deal.
You know, one driver told the Times he made $55,000 in 2022 and $24,000 last year, giving only 5 to 6 rides a day. And admittedly, my ride was $9, you know. It took 10 minutes. It was $9. How much did that driver? I mean, I tipped, you know, and we'll talk about that later.
Right.
But, you know, that's not a profitable ride.
No, it's super not.
Is it possible that the number of drivers will go down naturally?
No, because people are really desperate right now. These are bad economic times.
So you think it's like kind of like I've just got to go out there and try to compete?
Yeah, and people will add other sorts of contract work on top of it. So you'll be like, okay, well, I used to be able to make, 25 hours doing this. I make 10, but then you start adding, I mean, there's so much contract work available now that it's just like, which one do I take? But they're all exploiting you in different little ways.
Right.
Uber says the report was flawed and placed the blame on Seattle's well-intentioned regulations, like an increased driver minimum wage, which they say has led to the most expensive rideshare prices in the country. I wonder where that factors in here, if the cost of an Uber makes you less likely. I know for you, Chase, you say you're off the ride share right now.
I've been really walking lately. But
you're in great shape.
Yeah, thank you. But I have been, I've used them my whole life since they've existed. They are the taxi of today. Of course I use them.
Before we move on, one note, definitely treat your rideshare driver well because they're likely hustling far more than you think they are. And yes, leave a good tip. All right, moving on to our next topic. A big change is coming north of the border. Starting on Sunday, British Columbia is going to be on permanent daylight saving time. That means when we fall back this November, Washington State will be 1 hour behind BC. So close, yet so far. So now when you cross the border into Canada, you immediately jump forward an hour. Is there some cognitive dissonance there? Do you think they'll post signs or just mess with us a little bit?
I think they'll be polite.
You're running an hour behind.
Yeah, I think they'll be nice about it.
Yeah, I think obviously because there are a lot of commuters between these areas, and so that would be that's going to be weird for everyone else. I mean, your iPhone will probably just tell you the right time.
Yeah, of course. But it's funny because there are some places in the San Juan Islands where you're driving around and your phone pings over to Canada.
I go to Orcas Island a lot, and it's in the north part, and that happens a lot. Yeah,
I wonder if that is going to happen.
Well, north of them, it is still the United States because there's that little area, but...
Right. But, I wonder if it'll change. Anyway, it's going to take some getting used to. We have 8 months to prepare. Good luck, Point Roberts. Yeah. Cross-border appointments and meetings are going to shift a little bit. Do you get messed up with the time change?
It's not pleasant. But your phone tells you what time it is, and presumably we all use alarms on our phone at this point. If you're still using a wind-up alarm clock, Godspeed. It sucks a little bit for a minute, and then you sort of get over it.
I have a watch, like a real watch that you have to
like
fix
a sweep hand watch.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So that one.
Oh my god!
So that one might be a little bit more complicated to change, but the electronic ones, they just go.
Yeah, sure. Have you ever messed up an interview or a meeting though?
Because of time differences.
Because of a time difference.
Absolutely. Every single person that's ever done this profession has. Yeah.
It's the worst.
It is the worst.
It's the worst.
My actual physical watch tells me different time zones at the same time.
Stop it, Chase.
That's why I use it.
And
there's like a stopwatch.
It takes up my entire arm.
Yeah.
This also means BC will get an extra hour of daylight during our challenging winters. Does this give Vancouver a distinct advantage over Seattle?
They have a few advantages.
Yeah, they have a number, several.
This is just one on the pile.
In every way, maybe. The only one being their thrift game is pretty weak. Some of the worst thrift stores I've ever seen.
BC had the ability to change their time zone since 2019. They just chose not to enact it at the time because they wanted to be in line with Washington State, but things have changed. The provincial government said in a statement, recent actions from the U.S. have shifted how BC approaches decisions that merit alignment, including time zones.
Very precise.
That is some shade.
There's a lot of shade between them and us.
Yeah. There's a similar case here in Washington. Of course, the state legislature passed a permanent daylight saving time law in 2019, but it can't go into effect until Congress passes a bill leaving the decision to the states. Of course, all that being said, how are you preparing to lose an hour of sleep this weekend?
I've become an early riser.
Yeah.
It's a real change for me, as I'm entering my early mid-30s. Suddenly I'm like, 10 p.m., let's go. Whereas before, it's hard to go to sleep before 2 a.m. So I'm actually okay. I'm okay. I'm going to go to bed early.
You're noticing the morning light.
I like it.
Yeah.
I was up at 6 a.m. this morning.
It's going to be ripped away from you on Sunday. It's really unfortunate.
I think it's going to go a little bit like this. I'll be like, oh, and then I'll look at my phone, and that's what I'll say, and it'll be fine.
And that's it. And then Monday. All right, moving on. Axios Seattle gathered some hot takes this week on tipping culture in the city. They cited a survey from Financial Service Bankrate that says 41% of people think tipping culture is out of control and that Gen Z and millennials are less likely to tip. How do you think about tipping? I don't think tipping culture is out of control. I think it's prevalent. You're still your choice.
It is between you and God, and nobody's making you tip. If you don't want to tip somebody, just don't. And shut up. We are all living in a nightmare. Is this really the thing that we should focus on? So this is my general take.
The thing that I just want to know is if I'm tipping like a person. Because oftentimes, especially with how much service is becoming automated, like sometimes I feel like I just got my thing and I didn't talk to a human, and then I tip and I'm like, I don't know what I'm tipping. At a coffee shop, like I get it. Like I understand that tipping, but there's so much tipping in so many ways now. And I think it distracts us. There's a lot of like, where are we tipping always?
I think we all know who makes a wage that requires tipping. So keep doing that. And then the other ones, it's your choice.
The way I think about it is it's hard to get by in this city, and it is likely that the person across from me is struggling in some way or another. So I generally am a tipper. Axios split their commenters up into a few categories. Quite a few people were in the, of course, you tip camp no matter what kind of service you get. Some say that takeout is different and you don't have to tip if you're just picking something up. Others say the change in minimum wage and tip credit in Seattle has changed the calculus.
Those tips go to back of house, too. I feel like this is very revealing. Who worked in a restaurant? Oh, not you? Okay, that makes sense why you have this opinion.
I wonder if anonymity makes a difference for people, right? If nobody's watching, do you not tip?
It definitely does. I mean, also, like, people are coming from different cultures, too. I mean, not to defend, like, no tippers, but, like, plenty of people don't tip every day. I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying there are lots of people who aren't tipping, so you can just join those ranks if you don't want to tip.
Seattle Times dubbed a new wave of restaurants starting in 2024 the era of counter service, and that is a noticeable shift towards walking up to the counter. You go into, like, fast restaurants and there's just a big screen and you place your order on the screen and you do your little thing.
I really think that a lot of this comes from people feeling insecure because this is making them feel like they're a bad person because they don't want to tip. And really they can just deal with it because it's your choice.
Vivian has had it. What do you think the issue is? Why do we keep bringing this up?
Because people don't want to pay money, and it makes them mad when they pay money. That is the major theme of being an American. People feel morally obligated to tip, and there are actual reasons for that, because there are a lot of struggling people, and I think they're being presented with an option where they feel like saying no puts them in a position to violate a social contract that they don't feel like they've actually opted into or is fair. So they feel like the rules are changing from under their feet.
Yeah, and things have gotten way more expensive, and we're in general talking about affordability, but this is obviously an issue that comes up every single year. And so we have a unique tipping culture, and it's something that I think should be analyzed. It doesn't mean you should tip, but I don't think it's the best culture of payment.
Definitely not, but until you can guarantee that people are getting an actual living wage, then it's up to us to supplement that. I don't think that is a very good way of doing things either, but we could change it. But until it is actually changed on some sort of structural level, people still need the support of tips.
We have a lot of people coming in from out of town this summer, expectedly, for the World Cup. Do you think it's going to lead to a little culture shock?
I mean, it depends on where they're coming from. I mean, Seattle's very expensive.
Yeah,
and the data underlines that, not just with renting. We are expensive in many ways in the city, so I think they'll be surprised. And I think oftentimes when you're surprised at the price, tipping is where the anger goes, especially when we're talking about food and drink. And so that feels like where you can vote on how expensive your experience was. And so at least in the restaurant industry, that's often where this, I feel like, anger gets focused. But that's not the workers that are pricing up your bill.
Right. But that's the only degree of control that you have over how much you're going to pay.
Will people still tip if they're coming from Europe to watch soccer?
If you're coming from Europe, you should.
Yeah,
if you're
come
to watch
on.
soccer? I mean, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm broke.
But see, here's the thing.
I came all the way from Europe to watch the soccer game, and now I don't have
See, here's
money.
the thing. I am not sure that income and stability
know.
correlates
No, it's
because
true.
I'm broke as everything and I tip really
of
well.
course.
It's
Of
awful.
course.
It's
Really rich
awful.
people often don't tip.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Some people in Seattle don't seem to have an issue with tipping, but how frequently they have to tip is a bit of a problem. The turning of the screen is always a thing,
People get mad about that. I think that's so weird. I love the turning of the screen. I'm like, oh, it's interactive.
It's fun. Yeah.
I think it's fun.
I get to press the little screen. I get to
think so,
I get
too.
to do a little bit of a different signature.
I
every
know,
time.
and I'm like, you don't get to see my signature. I don't know. I like the flipping of the screen.
Flipping of the screen in the stare
The stare
is a little weird. The
People
flipping of the
look
screen
away
and the walk
sometimes.
away,
Yeah.
I'm down.
I don't mind the stare.
You don't mind? No. I don't actually. I mean, look, I tip all the time. I shouldn't mind the stare.
Somebody stares at you, return the stare. You can be a mirror to the world around you, and the power will
I
be in your
match
hand.
energy. We're leaving it there. Chase Burns is a drag queen and entrepreneur. Vivian McCall is the Stranger's news editor. Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chase.
Thank you.
Appreciate you listening to Seattle Now, and thanks to our generous donors for your support. We've reached the awkward portion of the show where I flip the screen and ask you for a tip. Take a minute to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast app. Today's episode was produced by Vaughn Jones. It was edited by Andy Hurst. Our production team also includes Caroline Chamberlain-Gomez, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you tonight for Evening Headlines.